Season 5, Episode 6, Fixed Income, Stability, Illusion, and Reality. In the previous episode, we looked at income-oriented equities, businesses that return a significant portion of their profits to shareholders through dividends and other distributions. Those income streams arise from ownership. When you own shares in a company, you participate in the profits generated by that enterprise. But income can also arise from a very different economic relationship. Instead of owning a business, capital can be lent. And when capital is lent, the borrower agrees to compensate the lender for the use of that money. That compensation usually takes the form of interest. This is the foundation of what is often called fixed income. Bonds, treasury securities, and many other lending instruments operate on this basic principle. An investor provides capital to a borrower, perhaps a government, a corporation, or another institution. In return, the borrower agrees to make periodic interest payments and to return the original principal at a specified date in the future. From the investor's perspective, the appeal of this structure is straightforward. The cash flows are typically defined in advance. Interest payments are scheduled. The maturity date is known. Compared with the uncertain profits of a business, the structure appears more predictable. And this predictability is the reason fixed income is often associated with stability. But stability can be an illusion if the underlying dynamics are misunderstood. Because the value of a lending agreement depends heavily on something that exists outside the contract itself. Interest rates. When interest rates change, the value of existing bonds changes as well. If new bonds begin offering higher interest payments, older bonds paying lower rates become less attractive. Their market value falls. If interest rates decline, the opposite happens. Older bonds paying higher rates become more valuable. Their market value rises. This is why fixed income securities can still fluctuate in price, even though their payments are predetermined. There is another dimension to consider as well. Inflation. A bond promises payments that are usually fixed in nominal terms. But if the purchasing power of money declines over time, those payments may buy less than originally expected. In other words, the borrower may repay the loan exactly as promised, but the real value of those payments may have changed. This dynamic has been present throughout financial history. Periods of rising inflation can erode the real value of fixed payments. Periods of stable prices make those payments more valuable. So while fixed income instruments can provide a measure of predictability, they are not immune to economic forces. They exist within the broader environment of interest rates, inflation, and credit risk. Understanding this helps clarify what fixed income actually represents. It is not ownership in productive enterprises. It is participation in the lending markets. The investor becomes the lender. The borrower uses the capital to fund operations, projects, or public spending. In return, the lender receives interest payments as compensation for the use of the money. These payments represent one of the most fundamental sources of investment income. Interest. For many centuries, lending has been one of the primary ways capital generates income. Governments borrow to fund public expenditures. Corporations borrow to finance expansion. Individuals borrow to purchase homes and build businesses. Each of those relationships creates a stream of payments flowing from borrower to lender. From the perspective of an investor building a financial system, fixed income can play a particular role. Because the payments are defined in advance, they can provide a measure of predictability. That predictability can be useful when income needs to be matched with future obligations. But like every form of capital deployment, lending also involves trade-offs. Interest payments may be stable, but they rarely participate in the upside of economic growth. The lender receives the agreed-upon payments whether the borrower thrives or merely survives. Ownership captures the expansion of an enterprise. Lending captures the price of money. Both behaviors have their place inside a financial system. Both represent important sources of investment income. But they arise from very different economic relationships. Ownership participates in profits. Lending earns interest. And there is yet another category of assets whose income flows come from a different foundation entirely. Not corporate profits, not interest payments, but the economic activity embedded in the physical systems of the world around us. Land, infrastructure, and the assets that make modern life function. That's where we will turn next.